You're watching ABC7 News at 7.
Everybody needs to support Ron DeSantis. Your current governor cares, Rick Scott. You see it already, we're winning so much. Some people are getting a little tired of winning.
President Trump holding a rally in Tampa showing support for Ron DeSantis and Rick Scott. Protesters and supporters forced to separate and the media getting attacked. Well, who's to blame? Good evening, everyone. I'm Jacqueline Mattern. Welcome to ABC7 at 7. Alan Cohn has the night off. We'll have more on the week in Washington in just a moment, but first, our top stories at 7. Well, the impact of red tide washing up again today on some Sarasota County beaches. Crews spending the day cleaning up thousands of dead fish, but those beaches do remain open. The county started working on removing those dead fish at 7 a.m. along Siesta Key and Lido Beach using mechanical raking. The Sheriff's Office Work Offender Program spending the first part of the day at Turtle Beach, bagging the dead fish by hand. They also worked at beaches in Venice and Inglewood. The county will continue to clean up our beaches as necessary.
Optimistic that it's going to continue to get better. It's a little better today than yesterday, so we are hoping for the best, but we're preparing for the worst so that we're ready.
The county is prepared to continue to do beach cleanups every day until all of those dead fish stop washing up on our shores. Well, the severity and duration of this year's red tide bloom have many worried about a possible connection to the toxic algae in Lake Okeechobee. Scientists say there likely is not a connection. Red tide is a saltwater species of algae completely different from the blue-green algae forming in Lake Okeechobee. A scientist who studies red tide on Sanibel Island, which is across from where discharged water from the lake enters the Gulf through the Caloosahatchee River, says that water does not even travel far enough north to impact our red tide here on the Suncoast.
The blue-green algae isn't causing the red tide to bloom. We already had a red tide bloom that's been ongoing. We already have a lot of red tide cells out there. They already have a lot of nutrient sources.
Bartleson says the water from Lake Okeechobee is filled with nutrients that could feed a red tide bloom, but experts at Moat say red tide cells are too complex to trace exactly which types of nutrients are causing them to persist. A manatee paralyzed by red tide that was rescued from Lemon Bay in Inglewood has died at SeaWorld. On Wednesday, deputies found that manatee stuck on a sandbar in Lemon Bay. It was determined that the manatee was paralyzed due to the red tide. The manatee was still alive and able to breathe and was eventually taken to SeaWorld in Orlando for treatment. According to the FWC, 80 manatees have died this year due to red tide. Now, we're constantly updating information about the red tide conditions here on the Suncoast on our website. You can find the latest red tide reports and answers to your questions from the experts. Check out our catalog of coverage at mysuncoast.com. In other news tonight, a woman accused of throwing her 4-year-old daughter into a Tampa river to drown has been denied bail on first-degree murder charges. Police say 26-year-old Shakayla Denson drove her daughter in a stolen car to the Hillsborough River, waded with the girl, then tossed her into the water and walked away. Authorities found the unconscious girl 30 minutes later. She was later pronounced dead at the hospital. The case is similar to the story of Phoebe Johnchuk, who police say was thrown by her father off of a bridge into Tampa Bay in 2015. John Johnchuk's trial is set for sometime next month. Now let's head over to meteorologist Steve Newman with a look at our first alert forecast. What can we expect this weekend, Steve?
Jacqueline, pretty much what you would expect for early August across the Suncoast. Afternoon, evening thunderstorms. And boy, they've been firing up the last couple of days. You can see one batch that came over us. That was hit and miss. A lot of people didn't get a single drop of rain. Some people got a lot of lightning and little downpours. But what's left of this area is now leaving western Manatee County, going to skirt Anna Maria Island. Probably not even going to make it, Egmont Key. So it's gone. We'll look at what might happen later on in a second. But 86 is the current temperature at Tampa International, 82 at Panama City, Key West 89, and across our viewing area, the rain and outflow from those scattered storms has cooled things off a little bit. Northport only 77, really comfortable there. 82 at Sarasota, 85 at Bradenton. Currently at Sarasota Bradenton International Airport, I think we're going to see that temperature come up. I hope. There it is. Let's take a look at the almanac. High today 91, last night's low 74. Pretty close to normal on both counts. Has been as hot as 98 back in 1925. Late day thunderstorms, that's what we're going to see right on through the weekend and early part of next week. And you can see them just building along that flow coming in from the Atlantic, colliding with our Gulf Coast sea breeze. It's a pattern we expect this time of year, and we're going to see more of it. Future radar shows overnight tonight those storms moving out. Maybe one more coming at us the back way toward midnight. We'll keep an eye on that one, but pretty slight chance, only a 30% chance you'll see any of them. And temperatures cooling off into the 70s as we move to the overnight hours, with that chance of thunder showers continuing. You can stay in touch with the latest weather forecast with our app. Make sure you download it and keep it all configured, because we can follow the storms as they develop during the afternoon and evening and let you know if they're going to be a problem for you. That's our weather. Jacqueline.
All right, thank you, Steve. President Trump heading on vacation, but it won't be all that relaxing. Between the Russia investigation and his attacks on the media, there's a lot circulating him on his trip. CNN Jim Acosta explains all the drama surrounding the Trump administration.
President Trump arrived for a summer vacation at his New Jersey golf club, facing a potential hazard that's nowhere near the putting green: the prospect of sitting down for an interview in the Russia investigation. The president is receiving no shortage of advice, as political strategists warn it's a trap.
I'm not an attorney, but my political advice to the president would be not to sit down with Bob Mueller. The opportunity to make a misstatement potentially, or to potentially get caught up on the word is too great of a of something that could happen there.
While the president's legal team is keeping the door open.
I'm not going to give you a lot of hope it's going to happen, but we're still negotiating. We haven't stopped negotiating.
At a campaign rally in Pennsylvania, the president hardly sounded like he's warming up to the Russia probe.
Now we're being hindered by the Russian hoax. It's a hoax, okay?
Mr. Trump is still bending the truth when it comes to his relationship with the Russians, telling his supporters he's no friend of the Kremlin.
I'll tell you what, Russia's very unhappy that Trump won, that I can tell you.
Despite the fact that Vladimir Putin just revealed at their joint summit he wanted a Trump victory.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Because he talked about bringing the U.S.-Russia relationship back to normal.
Democrats accuse the president of being at odds with his own national security team, who warned the world Russia is still trying to interfere in U.S. elections.
The president was missing, as you said. He was not only missing from that event, the next day he calls it a hoax. And what President Trump did in Helsinki, and what he did yesterday in calling the Russian probe a hoax, it gives a green light to Mr. Putin to continue his activities here in the United States.
And as one of the president's top intelligence officials conceded, it's not fully known what Mr. Trump told Putin behind closed doors.
I'm not in a position to either understand fully or talk about what happened at Helsinki. I'll turn it over to the National Security Director here to address that question.
The president is still nursing his grudges with the media, disputing any news reports that he kept the Queen waiting during his visit to Britain last month.
I'm waiting. So I was about 15 minutes early, and I'm waiting with my wife, and that's fine. Hey, it's the Queen, right? We can wait. But I'm a little early. Honestly, folks, it was such a beautiful, beautiful visit and afternoon. But they can make anything bad, because they are the fake, disgusting news.
Mr. Trump again turned to the issue of immigration, this time trying to defend his past comment that Mexican immigrants are rapists and criminals.
Coming down the escalator, and you remember what I said? They're sending. Do you remember that? They're sending. And I mentioned words. I won't even mention them tonight because there's a lot of young people here. But I mentioned words, and everybody thought it was wonderful. But then about 2 days later, they said, did he say this? Did he say that? Guess what? What I said is peanuts compared to what turns out to be the truth. It's peanuts.
Well, so much to discuss, and of course we will. Meet me at the Trapezoid.
Mark Zupan, part of the U.S. Paralympic rugby team. In my game, movement is everything. I get frustrated when my move is blocked, especially when that guy has no right to be there, even just for a minute. I love a challenge, but I don't like to play this game every day.
A message from the United Spinal Association. Hi, I'm Chef Bob. Watch Aprons in the Kitchen every Wednesday morning on ABC7, where we'll be serving up the most awesome dishes. Then stop by your neighborhood Publix, pick up the recipe card and all the ingredients.
If you're looking for the perfect trip that allows you to spend quality time with the family, then discover the great outdoors on an Alabama Black Belt adventure. Create unforgettable memories while hunting, fishing, or biking and hiking. Or play the Robert Trent Jones Golf Trail, now celebrating 25 years. And while you're here, enjoy the flavors of the Black Belt. Book your adventure at our lodges or stay in the Renaissance Montgomery Hotel and Spa. Start planning an Alabama Black Belt adventure today.
I used to dread getting up and going to work.
I was done with the corporate grind.
I was tired of being a starving artist.
And I started looking around for a business that I believed in, and I kind of wanted to do something a little more green.
My SCORE mentor helped me take the first step.
He helped me create a business plan and helped me implement it.
They've really taught me how to think big.
SCORE helped me to make the unimaginable possible, all for free. I'm here because of SCORE.
I'm here because of SCORE.
Get your free business mentor at score.org.
Dear parents, it's time for a pop quiz. What's the best kind of play for kids? Play that makes us think? Or helps us pretend? Or teaches us rules? Or to be creative? Actually, every kind of play is important because different kinds of play give us different kinds of skills. Help us mix up the ways we play. Okay, class dismissed. Now go play.
The body, it is a work of art and a powerful ally in the fight against cancer. A new approach called immunotherapy works by helping our immune system correctly identify and eradicate many types of cancer cells. Speak with your doctor and visit su2c.org/immunotherapy to learn more. Your body might just be your greatest hope.
We believe in patriotism. We believe in our country. For 100 years, veterans have been impacting our nation through the American Legion. Learn more at legion.org/webelieve.
Welcome back. This week, Washington came to the Tampa area, and what a show it was. Thousands rallied at the Florida Fairgrounds as President Trump did something highly unusual. He took sides in the Republican primary for Florida governor, throwing his support behind Congressman Ron DeSantis in his race against Agricultural Commissioner Adam Putnam, who had long been seen as the odds-on favorite to win the GOP nomination. The rally also made national news because of the heated confrontation between CNN's White House correspondent Jim Acosta and other reporters. Joining us for more are Mary Ellen Kirkwood of the Sarasota Republican Party, Susan Nylon of the Nylon Report, and joining us by Skype from Tampa is Dan Maduri of News Talk Florida. Now, of course, Trump coming to town, interjecting himself into the primary with the Republicans by endorsing Ron DeSantis. It's a bit unusual for a president to do in a primary. Now, Dan, I know you are on our Skype right now, and you were in Tampa. How are people reacting from this, from that rally?
Well, I was actually at the rally covering it. They absolutely loved it. I heard multiple people walk around saying quite simply, quite clearly, they do not know and have never heard of Ron DeSantis prior, but now they've got the full support of them because of the backing of President Trump.
Okay, thank you, Dan. Now, Mary Ellen, because of that endorsement from the president for Ron DeSantis, does that put him ahead of Adam Putnam now? Do you think more people are going to go and vote at the primary for Ron DeSantis because of this endorsement?
I think there is a lot of excitement right now, whether by August 28th people will have time to consider their choices, because Adam Putnam is well known within the state of Florida in all neighborhoods and in all cities because of the job that he's done as agricultural commissioner. So he has the seasoned executive experience that a good governor requires. So I think there is a lot of enthusiasm, and the polls are certainly right now in Ron DeSantis's favor. But I don't think you can really tell until the day people walk into the polling booth.
Certainly, and of course, when we were having our own ABC7 crew out there at the rally, a lot of people saying they didn't know who Ron DeSantis was before this, but because of the president's endorsement, they feel that they would vote for him. Do you agree with that?
I do think a lot of people will vote based on President Trump's endorsement. And then there will be a lot of Republicans that will take other factors into consideration. But one thing's for sure, after August 28th, whoever our Republican candidate is, every Republican will be behind him 100%.
Okay, thank you, Mary Ellen. Now, Susan, how does DeSantis stack up against Gwen Graham, who appears to be the front runner in the Democratic race? I know the Democratic debate was last night as well, and you were there and watching it. How does DeSantis stack up to Graham?
Well, you know, they're definitely more polar opposite. I think it would have been a little bit more, this is only based on, of recent news. Where I don't know who they're going to be the front runner is in the primary. But if it is Graham and DeSantis that come out, you can't get more polar opposite, more black and white between the two candidates. So it will be a clear divide. There won't be, I think Adam Putnam was probably someone a little bit more in the middle and put Gwen Graham a little bit more in the middle. But DeSantis will be able to, step out and also make her do the same. So it'll be, if that's the way it is, it'll be a really interesting pair up.
All right, thank you so much, Susan. Well, our conversation on This Week in Washington continues right after we get a check on our First Alert weather forecast with meteorologist Steve Newman. Steve?
Hey, Jacqueline, I'm going to step out of the way so you can watch the beginning of what's going to be a beautiful sunset from our tower cam here at ABC7. Look out over Payne Terminal, and boats starting in and out of there, and the clouds sort of evolving as the sun gets lower in the sky. So I think we're going to see a beautiful sunset tonight. Get out and enjoy it. Currently at the airport, temperature's 82. It's cooled off because of the passing storms. Dew point 76, so it is still muggy with a north wind at 3 miles per hour. Current heat index also cooled off because of the passing storms. We had heat indexes over 100 or about 100 in Sarasota in the middle of the afternoon, down to 89 now. It's what it feels like, 97 at Arcadia. And here is the weather pattern that's producing these afternoon and evening thunderstorms. It is a shift in the weather pattern. It was from the south for the last couple of weeks, and then slowly but surely it's starting to move in from the Atlantic, and that is triggering the afternoon sea breeze thunderstorm engine, I like to call it. It's a machine that collides with the Gulf Coast sea breeze with that flow coming in from the Atlantic, triggering those storms. And we've had them for the last 3 days, including this afternoon. This one wasn't terribly active, but it did come up again from Collier and Lee counties. We've seen the last couple of days travel over Charlotte Harbor, and what's left of it has now moved out and dissipated at the mouth of Tampa Bay, right about Egmont Key. I think all of it's gone now. Maybe a few showers continuing out over the Tampa Bay area. Looking at the tropics, things are very quiet for a variety of reasons, mainly because the water temperature in the Atlantic is cooler than normal for this time of year. Also, we have a lot of Saharan dust blowing out that's inhibiting the development of these waves. We still have the African tropical waves blowing out off the coast of Africa into the Atlantic, but they kind of dissipate, and that pattern is likely to continue. As we move through the rest of August into September, we really have to be alert to the Caribbean, which now appears quiet, and the Gulf of Mexico, and parts of the western Atlantic. We also have to look at very carefully to make sure that nothing is developing. And we will do that here at ABC7 day by day, right on through the rest of the hurricane season. Here's the futurecast showing scattered thunderstorms ending tonight. Things calm down overnight. This is tomorrow morning, and then the afternoon thunderstorms build up again, calms down Saturday night. Sunday, they develop again. It's a very typical pattern for this time of year. And if you're going out on the water tomorrow, the winds will be from the east. In the morning, northerly. In the afternoon, 5 knots. Seas 2 feet. We'll have a light chop on bay and landline waters. And if you're going to the beach, things are cleaning up out there. 90 the air temperature, water temperature 87 degrees. Here's your 7-day outlook, and it shows a 50% chance of storms tomorrow, 60% Sunday. And as we look into next week, off and on 30, 40, 50% is the good odds we're going to see, with temperatures remaining pretty close to seasonal normal every day for the next week. We'll be back with more right after these words.
Did you know you could get life insurance for less than 32 cents a day? With guaranteed acceptance whole life insurance through TrueStage, you can get up to $25,000 in protection with a single phone call, and you cannot be turned down for any reason. Even if you have health problems or are living on a fixed income, Guaranteed acceptance whole life insurance policies could work for you with prices starting at less than 32 cents a day. That's as low as $9.40 a month. TruStage can help free your family from immediate financial stress when you're gone.
Utility bills, mortgages, car payments, those are a lot of things that can add up pretty fast.
My mom didn't have life insurance and the cost all fell on me. And that's expensive. We're still paying for that.
Yeah, we're still paying for that.
Call 1-800-218-4991 now. In one phone call, you can help prepare your family with protection amounts up to $25,000. There are no medical tests or health questions. And remember, you cannot be turned down for any reason. In fact, TruStage policies are already protecting over 18 million Americans. And rates are designed to be affordable, starting at less than 32 cents a day. That's as low as $9.40 a month. Plus, your price will never increase and your benefit will never decrease.
When I leave, everything will be taken care of for them.
Call 1-800-218-4991 now for a free, no-obligation quote. TruStage offers plans to fit your budget with prices starting at less than 32 cents a day. Help protect your family from immediate financial burdens after you're gone with guaranteed acceptance whole life insurance through TruStage. Call 1-800-218-4991 now.
Did you know that a dirty CPAP system could make you sick? If you knew what could be growing in your mask and hose, it would keep you up at night. Now, SoClean.com has released the world's first automated hands-free CPAP cleaner and sanitizer. With its patented design, SoClean is fast, effective, and hands-free, killing 99.9% of all CPAP germs and bacteria. Try SoClean now through this special TV offer, risk-free for 30 days. Just call 800-604-0398.
The SoClean works, and it's a really effective product, and I couldn't believe how easy it was to use.
SoClean works on all popular CPAP machines and masks, destroying CPAP germs and bacteria without the daily hassle of washing your system by hand. Just place your mask in, close the lid, and walk away. Voila! Sanitized and ready to use. Try SoClean risk-free for 30 days. This is a limited-time offer. Call now, 800-604-0398, or visit SoClean.com today.
Fake news, fake news. They are fake. Now, I mean, do you believe, look at this, every night it's the same thing. Wouldn't you think they get tired of these speeches? Wouldn't you think? And here's one thing I'll tell you. If they don't get ratings, those speeches don't go on, doesn't matter. Look how many they have back there. They just can't get enough.
Well, welcome back. As you heard right there, President Trump attacking the media while holding a rally in Tampa earlier this week. Here to talk about all that and much more is Mary Ellen Kirkwood of the Sarasota Republican Party, Susan Nylon of the Nylon Report, and joining us by Skype from Tampa is Dan Maduri of News Talk Florida. Now, Dan, I want to start with you. Over the last week, we've kind of seen President Trump escalating in Tampa and in Pennsylvania yesterday, calling the media the enemy and kind of pinning his supporters against the media. The president even himself retweeting this, and some say he could be encouraging this type of behavior from what we've seen with CNN's Jim Acosta and some of the supporters for Trump. What do you think is going to happen from all of this?
I think the relationship between the media and the public are going to become more contentious. I think that you see within the Republican Party, there are people that just, they don't want to believe the facts. We saw numerous shirts of people walking around wearing "We Are Q" t-shirts. Now, this is a conspiracy theorist on 4chan that basically is putting nonsense out there that have been completely debunked by people inside the media and organizations, institutions of fact checkers, but yet people are embodying that person. They're going out there and they're saying, we'd rather believe a conspiracy theorist than the facts, than the mainstream media. We think the mainstream media has been so weaponized and so dangerous that we'd rather believe this clown on 4chan than, say, a Jim Acosta who has had an adversarial, contentious relationship with President Donald Trump.
Okay, thank you, Dan. Now, Mary Ellen, has it come to a point where anything Trump supporters see on maybe a major network, or whether it be something that is a controversial website, has it come to the point where they're just going to go blow it off and call it fake news regardless?
No, I watch Morning Joe every morning, New Day, CNN, but I think the problem is that the news stations really are not focusing on presenting news. I can't tell you the number of times I've seen Michael Avenatti on the news about Stormy Daniels, where there's no coverage of the fact, you know, that our unemployment is down to 3.9%, or the jobs that have been created by the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, or that coal industry is coming back, steel industry is coming back. There are some tariff concerns, but I think we're all prepared for some short-term pain for long-term gains of free and fair trade. I really believe the media has done it to itself. They have sensationalized and personalized their coverage of Donald Trump. So I and many of the public will review all of the information, but I'll be honest with you. I'll go online, I'll look at the Guardian newspaper from UK, I'll look at the Italian newspaper, French and German, and then I'll make up my own mind, because I feel that the news stations are negative, personal, and really quite vindictive. Like this morning on Morning Joe, Mika Brzezinski was saying, you know, shame on Ivanka Trump because she's not concerned about the illegal foreign national minor children, 500 to 700, that are not united with their parents.
Okay, well,
we have over
quick, like
553,000 homeless people in this country. It's time that we take care of our own U.S. citizen family and not have this fixation with foreign nationals that we never invited to come here.
So obviously we are just getting started here. So when we come back, we'll discuss how someone in the Trump administration doesn't see the media as the enemy of the people. Stick around, we're just getting started.
The following message is brought to you by Mesobook.com.
People who have been diagnosed with mesothelioma have many questions. How did I get this disease? What are my treatment options? How will this affect my loved ones? You need answers, which is why we offer a free book written by medical professionals who have treated mesothelioma.
Call toll-free at 1-800-777-1366 or go to mesobook.com.
If you're looking for the perfect trip that allows you to spend quality time with the family, then discover the great outdoors on an Alabama Black Belt adventure. Create unforgettable memories while hunting, canoeing, camping, and more. Or challenge yourself on Robert Trent Jones Golf Trail, now celebrating 25 years. And while you're here, enjoy a Deep South dining experience. Book your adventure in one of our members' lodges or stay at the Renaissance Montgomery Hotel and Spa. Start planning an Alabama Black Belt adventure today.
To be able to just get my son here and not think about how we will pay for it, it just takes so much weight off of my family. St. Jude allowed me to focus on being a mom to Bryce. And sometimes I'm just in awe of the impact St. Jude has, not only on this community, but the world.
Monday at 5 on ABC7's Good Morning Suncoast.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Webb.
And I'm Ray Collins. Hard to believe school starts a week from Monday.
We've got some great ideas on what you can do to make sure that your kids are all ready to walk into class. That's Monday on Good Morning Suncoast. John?
As we head into the new work week, will shifting winds help or hinder red tide sufferers? We'll detail that forecast for you bright and early Monday morning.
Monday at 5 on ABC7's Good Morning Suncoast. We're here for you.
They are the greatest fighting force the world has ever seen.
But what does it take to bridge the distance and keep them connected to family, home, and country? What does it take to strengthen our service members so they can be the greatest force for good in the world? It takes a force. Be a force behind the forces. Give today at force.uso.org.
In life after the military, it's our duty as veterans to have each other's back. I'm retired Colonel Greg Gatson, and it's my mission to help you get the benefits and services you've earned. If you need to file a VA claim, remember these important steps. Submit an online claim through ebenefits.va.gov. Work with an accredited Veteran Service Organization, or VSO. And if you need to attend a VA claim exam, please go. Visit this website to learn what to expect.
You're watching ABC7 News at 7:30.
Welcome back. We just heard from Mary Ellen talking about Trump supporters and major networks, but now we're also going to reach out to Susan Nylon. Now, Susan, we saw how supporters were treating CNN's Jim Acosta. If you haven't seen it by now, you probably live under a rock, to be quite frank. We also had some of our own reporters here at ABC7 who had supporters and people at the rally shouting profanity and just kind of being a really hostile environment. It doesn't matter if you're CNN, ABC, a local station, media in general. You're right. Is this the new normal? I mean, how is this okay and acceptable from somebody in his position to endorse this kind of activity?
It's only the new normal at a Trump rally or at a Trump press conference. As Mary Ellen was saying, that when the media covers other parts of the news, they don't get that treatment for the most part. So I think it's that crowdthink that they get, and they're suffering for it. I want to go back a little bit, though, to what was said, because every show that you mentioned was actually not a news show. It was a news talk show. And I think the majority of the public don't differentiate the difference. And because media is so much about talk and opinions, that people automatically assume that's news, and it's really not. And I think if media is responsible for everything, it's that type of programming and making the opinion of news so important.
Okay. And either of you can really weigh in on this. Can people no longer sit down and have a civil conversation when it comes to politics?
I would say they absolutely can, and the majority of us do. The majority of us have civil conversation discourse. There isn't a single guest that I've ever been on in this show that I don't have civil discourse on. So it is possible, but I think that if they're playing to the camera or they're allowing themselves to find that boogeyman, and there's no restraint and there's no accountability, then they don't have to be.
Okay, and now I want to listen in on a soundbite from Ivanka Trump and what she had to say about media being the enemy of the people.
I've certainly received my fair share of reporting on me personally that I know not to be fully accurate. But no, I do not feel that the media is the enemy of the people.
Okay, so of course that was Ivanka Trump, President Donald Trump's daughter. He then tweeted after that saying, quote, "They asked my daughter Ivanka whether or not the media is the enemy of the people. She correctly said no. It is the fake news, which is a large percentage of the media, that is the enemy of the people." So, Mary Ellen, I want to ask you, which is it? Who's right here? I mean, is the media really the enemy of the people when it comes down to it?
Well, I think the point that Susan made, that there's a difference between opinion news and factual news, but I think the problem is, in the United States market, there is no longer a differentiation between facts and opinion.
Correct.
And I think that our news organizations have confused the facts
They're
with
playing
opinion.
to the audience.
And they're no longer giving you the information. For example, if I really want to know the facts, I will go online and I'll look up the exact bill, at thomas.gov. I'll look up articles from many different sources, because the truth is you cannot trust the United States news to be accurate. It's filled with opinion and it's personalized.
Well,
it's no longer, I have a brother who's a journalist and editor
it's different
and you
nowadays.
think your brother, you would say that your brother is dishonest and not
No.
based
Well,
on
I'd like
factual
to get
information?
Dan's view. He
No.
is, of course,
So-
a member of the media and journalist, as well as Susan. I know you've been a former member of the media. But Dan, I'm sure you've been attacked, as many journalists have been these days. No matter what you say, whether it's pro-Trump or anti-Trump, how has your interaction changed with viewers? And do you agree that all news sources are, as Mary Ellen just said, opinionated versus factual?
No, in fact, I think that the media's job is to provide content that people are consuming. It's up to the consumer to educate themselves on it. And if they want to sit there and just read echo chamber type material that they so often do, I mean, they create channels for themselves, they create Twitter handles for themselves, and they sit there and they set up just themselves with their like-minded friends and their like-minded silos, and they just are afraid and terrified of being challenged on anything. That the moment that they are challenged on something, they find themselves in a position where it's just fake news, but it's inaccurate. It's up to the listener, the viewer, the reader to make sure that they are in fact educating themselves by a viable source. Now, newspapers, television, radio, whatever you want to call it, however you want to label media, social media, apparently a big part of that too, they have a right to print what they want to print, to wade into opinion, to be a part of the community, to be a part of the conversation, to be a part of the country. It's up to the user to make sure that they understand the difference. It's not up to the media and how we label the media and define the media to be confined as they once were back in the 1940s and 50s.
Okay, thank you, Dan. Now, Susan, you, of course, have worked in media as well. Today, I have an article here from a Fox News editor who claims we should stop sending reporters to these Trump rallies, essentially saying their presence allows Trump to use them as a prop. What are your thoughts on this, and do you think it's a matter of time before someone gets hurt?
I would agree with that sentiment, actually. I mean, they're not welcomed. What he presents, he's using them as a prop, and it would make a hell of a statement for the media just to boycott him, even if it is for a little bit. It's almost like feeding frenzy of a shark. And somewhere it's got to stop, and somewhere they have to say enough. And besides, they report more on his Twitter feed than they do anything else. So it's time to say we're not going to tolerate this anymore.
Did you have something you want to add,
I
Mary
think that the media has made themselves the story, and if anybody is a prop, the media is the prop. And to be honest, they won't be missed because people can use the internet to find the information. And I think that you underestimate the intelligence and the common sense of the American public to review a wide variety of information and the ability to make up their mind.
But that would be media, that they have. You can't go on the internet and not read
you
something
can read
that's provided.
The Washington Post
But that's
on the
media.
internet, the New York Times.
But that's media.
You can compare it to the LA Times, to the Chicago
and you're
Sun, the Baltimore
I think it's really
Sun.
smart, and I would agree with you.
And
I do
that's
the
what
same.
people are doing.
But
we're not relying particularly on television.
Recognize that all of that is media.
When we sit here and talk a little bit about the media, when the president formally uninvites media to events like the CNN's White House correspondent Caitlin Collins. He uninvited the press secretary, uninvited
she yelled
him.
Out. I mean,
well,
she
some would
really,
say she yelled out. Others would say she was asking a question that would just be regular, a normal question, and then any reporter would ask.
We can't talk about being childish and out of control without looking at the president.
Regardless of whether she was out of control or not, the fact that you are uninviting media from a public press conference.
Well, he made a spot for another person from the same network. But I do think there is proper behavior and there are good manners. And I think that what I've seen, at least on the television media, is an absence of both and even common sense.
From our president as well. His behavior is what has set this course
He's
for
not
everything
beaming
else.
into our houses 24/7.
No, but he's praying that somebody is beaming him in there.
Fox News and MSNBC.
And let alone we forget that he watches the media every single day.
I don't think he's got time for that.
Let's head over to Dan again now. Dan, what are your thoughts on this? I mean, I'm not sure if you've ever personally been uninvited or personally been attacked from somebody regarding the White House, but is this something, how would that make you feel if you were to be uninvited? Do you feel like that's an infringement on your journalistic right to be able to speak about something like that and the freedom of press?
Well, yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think freedom of press states that they should be absolutely present in that. And going back to the rallies, I don't think that the press should, in fact, not attend these rallies. They should absolutely be there. If they didn't, Trump could sit there and applaud himself and say, we've beaten them back. They're a bunch of cowards. They don't want to be here. We've used fear as a tactic. So for them not to be present at the rallies would be completely a non-starter, first and foremost. Secondly, I think that you look at the press now and how they're and how it's encapsulated with this president. The presidents have always had a contentious relationship with presidents historically. And this one, of course, has ramped it up a little bit. But if the press does not attend these rallies, does not go to the Rose Garden, does not sit there and ask questions of the press secretary, he has created an ability to have people just follow him on Facebook or Twitter. And now he's got a monopoly on his audience, a monopoly on his base. And that's a disservice to the American public and the American people. And ultimately something I think that he would like to gravitate towards if, in fact, the press wasn't such an easy thing to beat up on and such an easy wedge group.
I would like to add, though, that if the press isn't there to report on it, his base is not going to hear about it. And I'm not suggesting that they boycott it completely, but I'm saying that they should take control back of when they appear and how that conduct and behavior is going to be acceptable.
Oh, we watch it on C-SPAN.
All right,
no
C-SPAN's going, yeah.
No interruptions.
Okay, ladies, okay. Well, we have to take a quick break. We'll have our final thoughts when we return.
Are you a food lover, restaurant goer, or home cook? Then check out My Suncoast Dining on mysuncoast.com, your guide to the foodie lifestyle. ABC7's own Chef Judy serves up her favorite recipes, cooking tips and trends, dining blogs, and helpful step-by-step videos. And you'll love the restaurant guide with direct links to your favorite Suncoast eateries. Whether you're cooking in or dining out, whet your appetite with tasty tips from Chef Judy at mysuncoast.com/dining.
I think about my own family and I think about my own kids' dream, and I see these kids' dream.
There's something about dance that just is universal and just speaks to everybody.
Every day, some student makes a breakthrough, discovers something.
Teaching is about giving. It's a different kind of giving. When I teach, I know it's a gift that I'm giving.
Don't allow your weight to threaten your health or control your future. Excess weight or obesity can cause emotional and physical health risks. But you can take control. The Your Weight Matters campaign offers free resources and tips to help you measure and understand your weight. Take the Your Weight Matters Challenge. The free toolkit prepares you to speak with a healthcare provider about your weight. Your weight does matter. Take the challenge and take control today.
Growing up, my mom was afraid of the water, something she did not want me to feel.
So I enrolled Missy in swim lessons.
It changed my life.
Missy Franklin.
And now you can do the same for someone that you love.
There's nothing more precious than your child's well-being.
So act now, before it's too late.
Make us splash! I'm glad I did.
Thanks, Mom. Visit usaswimmingfoundation.org to find, get, or give a swim lesson.
I'll be right back.
Welcome back. Our guests join us for final thoughts. Now, President Trump continues to dismiss the Russia probe, the president calling it a hoax still. Now, this all comes hours after the director of national intelligence and other security officials issued a warning saying it was a threat to our democracy. Now, ladies, I want to ask you first, it's almost, some would say, it seems like they're working out of two different White Houses. And why do you think the president is saying there was no Russian meddling? Do either of you want to weigh in on this?
Well, I think that the Mueller probe has served a purpose in that it is exposing the lobbying movement in Washington. And some cases have been referred, both Democrat persons and Republican persons, to the New York District Attorney for having unregistered lobbying for foreign countries. And also Manafort's tax problems. All of those things predated his affiliation with the Trump campaign. So the Mueller probe is serving the purpose of lifting the curtain of lobbying and the money involved in lobbying and people that lobby without being registered and make quite a bit of money. So I think that's separate. And it's also pointed out that the Russians did interfere, you know, and did spy on us. Now, our hands aren't clean. We do the same thing.
Okay, well, let's get Susan to respond because we do only have a few more minutes left. We could go on for hours about this, I'm sure.
I want to just add that his choices of words are just playing the media itself. I don't think anybody really believes that there is no meddling. There's enough indictments out there, there's enough evidence out there that nobody's disputing Russian involvement in our election. And I agree with you about Paul Manafort, with the exception of the deadline of when he stopped being that way and when he went on to the Trump campaign. But the point is, there's enough facts out there that we're not even arguing it. The focus is how much did Trump know at the time? And you know what, the investigation's not over and it's uncovered a lot. So I think we should give it time to finish.
Okay, and let's check in with Dan. Dan, can you weigh in on this as well and maybe talk to us a little bit about concerns for Russian meddling in the 2018 and 2020 election?
Well, is it meddling? Is it collusion? Is it conspiracy? I mean, these are all strict legal definitions that they keep throwing out there, and it almost seems like they're just trying to splice some hairs. But the fact of the matter is I hear a lot about Russia, what they may or may not have done. Clearly, they meddled to some regard, but I don't hear any solutions to prevent them from meddling in the midterms. I've not heard any solutions about them preventing meddling in the midterms. In fact, Facebook has already announced that they have removed over 32 accounts of bad actors, they called it, that are meddling in the election. So while we're all squabbling and talking about something that's going to be decided by a Mueller investigation anyways, no one's minding the ship. No one's making sure that we are protected, and no one's making sure this election, this midterm, does not, in fact, get impeded on. And that's, frankly, horrible.
All right, well, thank you very much, Dan, and thank you to Mary Ellen Kirkwood of the Sarasota Republican Party, Susan Nylon of the Nylon Report, and joining us from Skype, of course, from Tampa is Dan Maduri of News Talk Florida for joining us tonight. When we return, hundreds of children have yet to be reunited with their families after they were separated when they were caught entering the United States illegally. Who is the Trump administration shifting responsibility to now? In the meantime, let's get a check on our First Alert forecast with Steve Newman.
Hi, Jacqueline. Got some great pictures sent in by our viewers to pics at mysuncoast.com. The Manatee River, a beautiful sunset. Thanks to Jim Holtz for sending that picture in. And for Dan Shake, he was at the Ringling Mansion out there. Kazan, look at the sunset and a storm shelf cloud moving out over Sarasota Bay. That's an awesome picture, too. And if there was ever a time to go to the beach, if there's no red tide there, now would be it. This is Cindy Desmond showing a deserted Venice beach. Beautiful scene. We do have some great beaches here. This whole red tide thing will pass. We live in one of the best places on the planet to live, and it will pass. It's going to get better. 82, the current temperature at the airport. 76 degrees is the dew point. Humidity 82% with a north wind at 3. Now, here is a big thunderstorm engine that's been developing the last 2 or 3 days, creating these lines of thunderstorms passing over the Suncoast, giving us a cooler weekend, and it's something we typically experience in August and even late July. It's good to be back to normal. And you can see the parade of storms coming across the state by radar. And this is the one that came up I-75 and kind of skirted Sarasota before moving out to the mouth of Tampa Bay about an hour or so ago. And it's all gone. You can see the lightning is gone, and it just dissipated as it moved out over Egmont Key. Now, the whole weather pattern is a result of this shift in high pressure. That's the Bermuda high. It had been a little more to the southeast. It shifted up closer to the Atlantic coast, bringing in a more easterly wind flow over Florida. It's also pumping in a lot of moisture up the Atlantic coast. A lot of flash flood watches and warnings in effect. We've had severe thunderstorms and even a report of a tornado in Massachusetts late today. This is slowly going to dry out, and behind it, warmer, dry weather over the heartland. 90 at Kansas City, Bismarck is 95, Dallas-Fort Worth 96, it's 109 at Phoenix. Here's the RPM computer forecast model for the next 24 hours, 48 hours actually, showing that these storms today will dissipate. We start off tomorrow fairly dry, but look what happens. Again, they blossom during the afternoon. Tomorrow night, Saturday night, they go away, and then Sunday, they come back again. Very typical for this time of year. Now let's take a look at our temperatures forecast across the viewing area. There we go. Tonight's forecast will be for partly cloudy skies, gradually clearing overnight with a low temperature of 75. The average is 75. And tomorrow with partly sunny skies and that 50% chance of storms developing again, a high of 91. And again, that's pretty close to normal, if not right on the money. 50 to 60 to 40% chance of rain over the next 3 days. We're going to call it only a 30% chance by the middle of next week. That remains to be seen. This time of year, that positioning of the Bermuda high, just minor changes in it, can really affect our weather, but we'll watch it closely. We'll be back with Primetime Headlines with Jacqueline right after these words.
Did you know that a dirty CPAP system could make you sick? If you knew what could be growing in your mask and hose, it would keep you up at night. Now, SoClean.com has released the world's first automated hands-free CPAP cleaner and sanitizer. With its patented design, SoClean is fast, effective, and hands-free, killing 99.9% of all CPAP germs and bacteria. Try SoClean now through this special TV offer, risk-free for 30 days. Just call 800-604-0398.
The SoClean works, and it's a really effective product, and I couldn't believe how easy it was to use.
SoClean works on all popular CPAP machines and masks, destroying CPAP germs and bacteria without the daily hassle of washing your system by hand. Just place your mask in, close the lid, and walk away. Voila! Sanitized and ready to use. Try SoClean risk-free for 30 days. This is a limited-time offer. Call now, 800-604-0398. Or visit SoClean.com today.
Addiction is a dark place, but just as each new day breaks, there is light. A light that illuminates the people by your side. Out of the darkness, you are walking with 22 million others struggling with addiction. The cure to darkness is light. The cure to stigma is love. And the cure to disease is treatment. Join us as we walk into the dawn of a new day. Together, we are stronger than addiction. Learn more at chatterproof.org.
Investigate TV tackles the tough topics.
What happened to my life was awful.
When your health is compromised, we investigate.
They are really drug dealers in white coats.
Corporate greed exposed.
How do you trust them to run this program?
The powerful held accountable with in-depth journalism led by award-winning journalist Lee Zurich. We're your watchdog. Search Investigate TV on your Roku device. Download it now.
Mascara adds depth to the eyes. Lipstick gives the mouth color and definition. And ALS paralyzes the body.
You look great, Mom.
Thank you. Slowly taking away the ability to move and eventually breathe.
Every week on Animal Outtakes, it's a new animal adventure. One gator, two gator, three gator, more. We are visiting a place where alligators are abundant.
You can see them out on the river. You can see them up at the upper lake. You can see them down at the lower lake.
Hi, Duffy. Service right to your home. How a mobile vet service can be beneficial to your pet's health. Join us this week on ABC7.
Checking in on primetime headlines, the Trump administration looking to shift the responsibility of reuniting families separated at the border. The government filed court documents asking the ACLU and other nonprofits to now take the lead in finding parents who have been deported without their children. ABC's Janae Norman reports from Washington.
The Trump administration making a stunning argument in court documents over families separated at the U.S.-Mexico border.
With just basic keystrokes, within seconds, could find any child in our care for any parent.
In late June, saying reuniting families would be quick and easy, but now arguing the ACLU and other nonprofits should carry the burden of finding parents that were deported without their children, writing they should use their considerable resources in their network of law firms, NGOs, volunteers, and others.
Nearly 2,700 children were separated from their parents, and more than 700 children still have not been reunited with their families.
Lawmakers on both sides of the aisle have been critical after the administration failed to meet last week's court-ordered deadline to reunite all separated families. And even President Trump's own daughter, Ivanka, has spoken out.
Yes, that was a low point for me as well. I feel very strongly about that, and I am very vehemently against family separation.
Attorney General Jeff Sessions announced the administration's zero-tolerance policy this spring that led to the separations. In court filings, the government says nearly 2,000 kids have been released from custody, and about 400 parents were deported without having been reunited with their kids.
Anybody that gets separated from their parents is very traumatic, very emotional.
The ACLU argued that they'll do whatever they can to help, but emphasized that the government must bear the ultimate burden of finding those deported parents. Janae Norman, ABC News, Washington.
A former WWE wrestler will be the next mayor of Knox County, Tennessee. Republican Glenn Jacobs beat out Democratic challenger Linda Haney by a 2-to-1 margin. Jacobs wrestled professionally for years under the name of Kane. At one point, he wrestled in a red mask and usually played a villain character. Now, this is his first time being elected to public office. After his victory was announced last night, Jacobs slammed Democrats, accusing them of being socialists.
The Republican Party must remain a bulwark against European democratic socialism, which unfortunately the Democratic Party has become. In order to do that, we have to grow our party, and we have to grow it among young people and among minorities.
Now, Jacobs is the second former professional wrestler to hold public office. Jesse Ventura served as governor of Minnesota from 1999 to 2003 after first serving as mayor of Brooklyn Park, Minnesota. That's all the time we have for this evening. I'm Jacqueline Matter. Thanks for joining us. Alan Cohn will be back here on Monday. Have a great weekend.